Ababai.
Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so last class we discussed about price elasticity of demand. So this is a very important chapter. So we are repeating it again. So see, this is that responsiveness of demand due to change in price. Okay, so whenever price is changing, there will be a response from the demand. Okay, so how will be the response? Is it a high response or a low response? And that's what's all about the elasticity of demand. Okay, so see that price elasticity of demand means the responsiveness of demand due to change in price. Okay. So see over here, if you observe these two picture, you'll find that in the first one there are really low response because of the change in price. But here, see there's a huge response. Okay, in the second one. Okay, so the first one with the less response is inelastic, and the second one with the more response is elastic demand. Okay, and so we can identify this with the help of this graph. Okay, and we can also identify it with the help of the value. Okay, so if you calculate the price elasticity of demand, you'll find that more than one means elastic and less than one means inelastic, and when it's zero, it will be perfectly inelastic. Okay, that means it will be a totally vertical line. Okay, see in this one, the graph is almost vertical, but when the value is zero, it will be totally vertical. Okay, and see this one for elastic, this is almost horizontal, but when the value is infinity, it will be less yeah, perfectly elastic. Okay, and there's something called unitary elastic. When the value is exactly equals to zero, that's unitary elastic. Okay, so this is a temporary thing where you'll get the same response. The same kind of response from price will lead to the same kind of response to the quantity demanded. Okay. Okay. So next we also did some calculation, and that's we go into the formula. Okay. So I'm not going through this. I hope you can do it. Next we have factors affecting price elasticity of demand. Okay, so here we'll have yeah, four main factors that is affecting the price elasticity of demand. Okay, don't get confused with the factors affecting demand. Okay, it's different thing. One is demand, and this here we are discussing about the price elasticity of demand. Okay, so this the first yeah, factor over here is availability of substitute. So if substitutes are available, then there will be what? There will be a elastic demand. Okay, because suppose if there is substitute, what will happen that a rise in price will lead to a fall in demand because people will switch to the other substitutes because there are substitutes. But if there are no substitutes, then there will be a fall. There will be inelastic because people doesn't have any option to switch to. Next, we have degree of necessity. Degree of necessity means like whether it's necessary or it's luxury or it's towards not necessary or towards luxury or in between. Okay. So there are different kind of goods in the market, right? So suppose rice or other necessary items. For them, if a change in price will lead to a very small change in demand. Okay, because these are necessary items. Even if the price rises, we will buy almost the same amount. Okay, there might be a little bit fall in demand, but that's insignificant. Okay, usually we'll go for it almost the same amount. And also vice versa. Like if the price falls, we won't start to eat more and more rice, right? There might be some people who will buy more rice. Okay, suppose poor people who can used to afford before, but now this falling price may lead to a higher demand, but still it will be a very insignificant amount of rise in demand. Okay. Next, we have luxury. For luxury, say that if a fall in price leads to a high change in demand. Think about your favorite food, suppose pizza. Okay, so whenever you'll find an offer or a discount offer or this kind of buy one get one or unlimited yeah, buying. Okay, so at that time, what will happen? This kind of fall in price will increase huge amount of demand. Okay, because this is a luxury. Okay, so this fall in price will lead to a huge demand, so that means luxury items are elastic. Okay, and vice versa, if the price rises, then what will happen? We will buy yeah, less. Okay, so again there will be a huge response. Okay. Okay. Next, we have proportion of income spent. So see that let's think about a product which takes away a huge amount of our income. That means it has a huge proportion compared to our income. Suppose rent. Okay, for many people, almost half or a huge amount of money of the income are spent for the purpose of rent, right? So what will happen that this rise in if there is a rise in rent, then we will look for alternative. Okay, that means we will respond. It will be elastic. Why? Because it's taking away a huge amount of my income. So we need to come up with an alternative, otherwise it will we won't be able to survive or maintain this rent, right? But think about a product which has very low proportion compared to our income. Suppose a pen, a 5 taka worth of pen. So maybe it has a very low proportion of our income, right? So what will we do? The degree of so this will be a very luxury item, right? Sorry, it has a very low proportion compared to our income, so it will they will have an inelastic demand. Okay. Then next we have time period. So time period means what? That like in the short term or in the long term. Okay. So in the short run, we can have a inelastic demand. That means whenever the price rises, we won't instantly go for this yeah yeah, and go for a like what change in demand, right? We will observe the situation, then we'll make a decision. But think about yeah, elastic situation, like in the long run. In the long run, we will find an alternative and we will switch to it. Okay, but in the short run, it won't be possible, right? Because we'll be very doubtful, and we need time to look for alternative, right? Next, we have price elasticity one. So if we don't have any problem with this chapter, so let's move to the next chapter. So let me know if you're facing any problem. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. So we are starting this chapter, price elasticity of supply. Okay. So again, it's a very similar concept that previously we talked about the responsiveness of yes, demand. Therefore, in this chapter, we'll be talking about the responsiveness of supply. And so due to change in price, there will be responsiveness from the supply. Okay. So see what's happening here. This um, uh, the responsiveness in supply due to the change in price. So in so that means that, see, again observe this two picture. This change in price is in the first picture, and this change in price is linked to a huge response. And here the change in price is leading to a very small response. So that means there will be elastic response from in the first picture, and in the supply. Mm, okay, so again the formula is almost same. See what's happening, that let's do a math from here. Okay, so let's use this diagram for this math. Okay, so suppose the price was 5 and it increased to 10. Okay, and see the response. It was 100 when the price was 5, and it increased to mm, how much, 500. It's a very popular question. Okay, the definition or the formula or the divided by q1 multiplied by 100. And we have p2 minus p1 divided by p1 multiplied by 100. Okay, so see, it's a very simple formula. Okay, so you can cut this to 100. Okay, then let's put the value. Okay, so q2 means a new quantity, and q1 means old quantity. Okay, and p2 means new price, and p1 means old price. Okay, so let's put the values now. Q2, how much is q2? Q2 is 500, right? Because the price is rising to 500. So 500 minus 100 divided by original price or whole price. That means 100. Then a big divided by P2. P2 is 10 minus 5 whole price divided by how much? 5, right? Whole price. Okay, so remember, for PD the answer was always negative, but here the answer will be always positive, because there is a positive relationship between price and supply. Whenever price rises, we tend to supply more. Whenever price falls, we tend to supply less. Okay, so let's what will be the answer then? See, there will be 400 divided by 100, so it will be 4. uh, 4 divided by 10 minus 5 is 5, that is 1. Okay, so it's exactly 4. Okay, so 4 is the answer. Okay, so 4, that means what? It's elastic or inelastic? So it's elastic, right? Why? Because the value is more than 1. So see, we have elastic because it's above 1, right? Okay, so see, from the graph we can also understand that, yeah, it will be elastic because the responsiveness is more. Over here from 100 it increased a lot to 500. Okay, only 5 unit change in price is leading to 400 units. or change in quantity supply. Okay, so from that you can also understand that it will be elastic. Okay, next what we have here is okay, factors. This is again a very important factor and very important question. And many people, again, I'm warning you that they can get confused with the factors affecting supply. So see that what's happening, that factors affecting supply is like this, that it's stock level, like factors affecting supply is different. Here we are talking about factors affecting price elasticity of supply. Okay, factor affecting supply means like what leads to a fall or rise in supply, and here we are talking about yeah, the supply will definitely change, but will there be a significant change or insignificant change in the supply, right? Okay, so see, these are the factors. Stock level. The first, so think from a business perspective. When the price is rising, what will happen? We'll try to sell more. Okay, but if we don't have enough stock, then what will happen? We can't respond. Okay, but if the price changes, we won't be able to respond if the stock level is low. But if we have a huge amount of stock, then what will happen? There will be fall in the stock. There won't be a rise in the supply, and even if there is a rise in the supply, there will be a very insignificant amount of rise in supply because we don't have stock, so we can't respond much. Okay, so next we have production speed. So if the production speed is low, then it will be inelastic because we won't be able to respond. But if the production speed is high, then we will be able to respond. Okay, so let's compare manufactured goods and agricultural goods. Okay, so agricultural goods takes time, right? We can just instantly produce crops or vegetables or fruits, right? We have to wait and for different kind of weather, or we have to wait for the mercy of the nature as well, right? We can just instantly get something, right? So see what's happening, that we have to come up with even if we want to increase the yeah, production of agricultural goods, it will take time. Okay, so because the production speed is low. On the other hand, think about manufactured goods. For the manufactured goods, the production speed is high, right? With the help of a machine, we can instantly produce them, okay? Or within a very short period of time. Okay. So again, is so we can say that for manufactured goods it will be elastic, and for agricultural goods it will be inelastic. Okay, let's talk about the stock level again. If you again compare it to this situation, like agricultural goods, for agricultural goods, yeah, stocking is possible, but it's difficult, right? Because the agricultural goods are usually perishable items, so it's difficult to store them, right? So you can say that agricultural goods are what, inelastic, and manufactured goods are elastic, okay, because of the stock level situation, right? But again, there are exceptions. Okay, now the technology has advanced. Okay, so there are many kind of preservation techniques. We have preservatives, then we have warehouses with cold storage. Okay, so by using different kind of technology, we can have a certain kind of agricultural items throughout the year. Okay, but and we can now it's possible to increase the stock level. And whereas think about the manufactured item, yeah, it's difficult. It's easy to store them, but think about the situation where your stock is damaged or you fail to get supply of your raw material. So for other reasons, your stock level, even if you have stock levels, you won't be able to produce. So sometimes there are exceptional cases where agricultural goods may become elastic and manufactured goods may become inelastic. Now, spare capacity. Okay, so let's think about a spare wheel. Okay, so how many wheels a car have? Okay, so usually in a car, what we have four cars, right? But we have one extra at the back, right? Which is known as spare wheel. Okay, so what's the purpose of the spare wheel? So suppose if there is an accident or you have a flat tire, what will happen? You can respond. You can change the tire and you can use your car again. And so same like this. Spare capacity means like suppose a machine can produce 1,000 a day. Okay. Um, but you are currently producing 700 a day. Okay, so what does this mean? It means you have 300 spare capacity, right? Mm, so among this 1,000 you are using 700, so you have 300 spare capacity here. Okay, so so if there is spare capacity, the production will become elastic. Okay, because if you want to increase, you can. Okay, increase by 300, right? But if you are working at a full capacity, that means 1,000 or almost 1,000, then what will happen? Even if you want to increase, you can't, because it's difficult to yeah, increase the production because you are already working in a full capacity. So if there are spare capacity, the production will be elastic, and if you're working on full capacity, it's not possible. It will be inelastic supply. Okay, so again in time period it's similar to price elasticity demand. In the short run it will be inelastic, but in the long run it will be elastic. Okay, because it's sometimes difficult to increase our resources in the short run, so we fail to respond. But in the long run we can manage and we can increase the supply. And then ease of entry into the market. So if it's easy to enter the market, then what will happen? The supply will be easy. Supply is easy to increase, but if it's difficult, lots of barrier from maybe monopoly or sometimes even from the government, if there are barriers very difficult and difficulty are there to enter the market, then it's not easy to increase the supply. It will be difficult. It will be inelastic. Okay. Then we have producer substitute. So that means like what are the other options for producers? So if there are other options available in the market for production, then it will be elastic. But if we don't have any option, then we'll be forced to produce the current option we have. Okay. So it will